presentation is so the topic of our presentation is using extracurricular activities to promote oral communication in EFL classes. As the moderator mentioned earlier, the presentation is prepared by Professor Dr. Estelle Bankolé-Minaflinou and myself, Cosme Zinsou Odjo from Benin. So here are some of the points we would like to discuss in this presentation. First of all, no one can deny the importance of English language in today's world. And when we come to foreign language teaching, it has become an interactive process where teachers and the students are involved in the teaching and learning scenario. And at the same moment, the students are provided with some real experience to communicate and to engage, to be engaged in some communicative situations. And through the teaching learning process that we have all over the world, there are 4 language skills that they need to master. But when we took the scenario of Benin contest, we noticed that the devoted time to English language learning is insufficient. This prevented learners from getting more opportunity to practice the language. Then it is important to think of some strategies to promote English language learning using extracurricular activities. So coming back to the Benin specific case, we noticed that students are struggling with English communicative skills. And when we took the example of, let's say, the case of those who participate in some extracurricular activities, we come up with some conclusion that the oral communication improve, while those who do not participate in such kind of activities, they can't improve. They have some difficulties in improving the oral communication. Then we also notice that there is a lack of investment in extracurricular activities in our country because governments do not participate or contribute to such activities in our country. So it was very important for us to see what we can do in order to come up with good ideas. And we also want to see the exact relationship between extracurricular activities and oral communication. Then we come up with the purpose of exploring the impact of extracurricular activities on students' oral communication. We designed some research questions that you can see on the screen. And we try also, before going to collect some data, we try to see what literature says about this topic. First of all, extracurricular activities can be defined as activities that take place that are implemented outside the regular curriculum. And they also take place sometimes in the education setting or outside of education, formal education setting. Similarly, extracurricular activities are organized not only in the language context, but also in all subjects in the school in Benin. But we want to focus here on extracurricular activities within foreign language learning. And we notice that the relationship between extracurricular activity and the student's overall, let's say, academic achievement is positive, because when they participate, we notice that from some literatures that the academic achievement is positive and successful. Also, learners are very happy to be part of extracurricular activities because they get more opportunities and so on. Some literatures also propose the promotion of extracurricular activities in our school. So in order to go to the field to collect the data, we use mixed method because we need a qualitative and quantitative method. We also focus on case study and narrative inquiry through interpretive design. And the data was collected from some secondary schools of Ueme region. This is in the south part of Benin. And our participants were EFL teachers and learners. Research tools were interview and observation, that we use through questionnaire and checklist, and the participants were purposefully selected. After collecting the data, we went through the meaning-making procedure, which help us, for example, to read and reread the data we collected from the field, and we try now to tabulate the data. We proceeded to film making, and then we come up with some meaning using some quality standard and ethical guidelines. For example, we kept the participant confidentiality. We took the consent before collecting and even recording some information from them, and so on. So here is the background information of our participants, as you can see on the screen. And from the participants, especially from EFL students, we noticed that all of them recognize the importance of extracurricular activities in our context. And they said that extracurricular activities also help them to improve the English language and oral proficiency. It also helped them, they also help them to improve the speaking after a regular participation. This means that when students do not participate regularly in extracurricular activities, they cannot really improve the speaking. And finally, they made some suggestions to improve the usefulness of extracurricular activities. Coming back to the teachers, as the students recognize, they also notice and reveal the importance of extracurricular activities, but few of them participate in those activities because of the overload and the class preparation and other official activities they have regarding the education or the teaching learning process. And they also are now, after our discussion, they are ready, and they also see the importance of promoting extracurricular activities. But they mentioned that to better seize the opportunity of these extracurricular activities, we need, it is important to put those activities under the supervision of experts, not only for the supervision of the students themselves or those who are not aware of the strategy and technique to use. And finally, they suggested us to meet the educational authorities in order to discuss with them the importance of those activities and how we can implement it in our schools all over the country. Now, finding from the let's say English club observation, this was a specific case that we did during the data collection, and took place at Semenkuji during the school year, where we participated in the creation of English club. And at that time, we had 20 students and the 2 teachers, altogether 24 members for that English club at the very beginning. And we noticed that students, or let's say the participants at that moment, had problem in speaking activities, because it has been a long time they get the opportunity to speak or to practice the language. We also got the opportunity to participate in Benin English Club Summit. This one took place in Parapu, and the next year in Dassazume, where BEX was organized by Benin National Teachers of English Association, BINTI, and it was only for English club leaders to give them to develop and build their capacity on how they can run the activities. And we also got chance to visit an English club at Parapu during our visit there. It was the English Club of American Corner, who held some weekly meeting for members and so on. So to summarize this, we noticed that when students participate in extracurricular activities, 80.76% recognize the impact of those activities on the student regular classes, because it helped them to improve the marks, even the reaction and commitment in class. It also helped to improve their oral competencies. Similarly, students' skill, knowledge, and attitude also get the opportunity to be enhanced or to be updated. The next thing is when we come back to the goals, the main goals of extracurricular activities, we also notice that student interpersonal relationship and social skills also can be improved. And altogether, you see that those findings are from the research question. And the first research question, as I mentioned earlier, was the main goal of extracurricular activities. And finally, we notice regarding this first question that when students participate in extracurricular activities, they got chance, especially in English clubs, they get chance to have some speaking techniques and the strategies that can help them to improve the oral communication. Now, let's come back to the second research question, which is related to the impact of extracurricular activities, especially English clubs. And here, as you can see, there were 90% of the participants that recognized that extracurricular activities, especially English club, is very useful for students to improve their oral communication. The next one is related to the academic and personal situation. And as you can see, 73% of our participants found that there is a positive relationship between academic and personal situation. Likewise, we have assessing a student application and giving a scholarship. As you can see here, it is very almost the same, because 49 that said that they do not agree that extracurricular activities, especially English club, can help them to get or to access some scholarship or to apply for some scholarship. But 51 agree that participating in English club, like as an extracurricular activities, can help them to have a good level of English that can also be a positive point in giving or in getting scholarship, where people nowadays ask, for example, being able to communicate and to write and to read and understand English well before applying to some of the worldwide scholarship. So the third part of our research, which is related to how we can implement extracurricular activities, especially English club, we try to come up with a guidelines that can help club leaders, even those who do not have till now English club in their school, so that they can well set this club in their schools and run it perfectly. And the first point of our guideline was to show the English club contribution to English, to oral communications, business, and all to the club members. And in the guidelines, we design some strategies. For example, how they can set the English club goals, how they can plan and run the activities. Some tips for successful English club were also presented. Students also, how we can encourage students through some awards, let's say some bonus and so on, and how teachers or club leaders can monitor and follow up the club activities. And finally, how school, let's say school principal or headmasters or mistresses can evaluate the English club in order to contribute to its improvement. So at the end of this study, we noticed, we came up with some ideas that it is important to make extracurricular activities mandatory today, because it can help to reshape our students and to support their skill, knowledge, and attitude. It is also important to involve a large number of students. And while involving a large number of students, of course, we will have a different age group. And for that, we needed to choose some age-appropriate activities and materials. And our activities should be more focused on language proficiency that can connect this. And while doing this, teachers or club leaders need to connect class materials with extracurricular activities, especially with English club activities, This will help those who participate to also to try to update the knowledge regarding the regular English class. And finally, we said that it is also, according to the 21st centuries, we need to include ICTs in extracurricular activities, mainly in our English club activities. So at the end of this presentation, as you were aware of, we discussed the effect of extracurricular activities on student oral proficiency, and some problems were also raised regarding student busy timetable, fear of speaking, and lack of available materials. And to address those points, we try to come up with two main things. For example, how they can organize language-related extracurricular activities, and some ways to improve students' oral communication. So these are some of the references of our presentation, and we are very glad to be part of this conference. Your suggestion, your comments, even your recommendation can help us to improve the final version of this presentation. Thank you so much, and over to you, dear moderator.
Okay, thank you very much, Cosme, for your brilliant presentation. We have really learned about the research you conducted. We have a question here in the chat box.
Okay, let me see it. Okay. Good. Let me see.
Outside activities as well as class activities.
Can you help me to go through the questions?
According to your findings,
Yes.
do you think the English curriculum should be changed?
Yeah.
Should we have outside classes, class activities, and as well as class activities?
Yes, I think nowadays there is no reason to say no. You got my point. It is very important to update our curriculum, not change. We need to update it according to the current needs. That's the main point. So it is let's compulsory nowadays to update all our English curriculum to provide more opportunities to our students to use and practice the language.
Okay, we have a second question.
Yes.
Kumbia is appreciating your presentation, and she's asking if she said concerning knowing that the issues are of a paramount importance for our learners, especially to boost their speaking, creative and collaborative skill. What would you say to some of us colleagues who are reluctant to monitor issues?
Yes, thank you so much for your appreciation. What I can say is this, you know, teachers are reluctant because first, they don't see it as an important and regular activities of the school. You know, that's one of the points. But what we can do is to show them the importance. We don't need to show because teachers know well the importance. The problem is what do they get if they are involved, or how can we motivate them? So we need to think on some motivational strategies to involve teachers in the ESC activities.
Okay, thank you for the answer. We have another question from Iyasu, asking which method did you use to calculate the impact of English club of student performance and academic achievements?
Good. Thank you so much for this question. First, I want to start by the last point of the question. To measure or to see, to evaluate the students' academic achievements, we consider those who join the club at the very beginning. And after 3-4 months, we evaluate how much they progress in terms of academic achievements. For example, and how they are able to communicate in English. And if you remember during my presentation, I mentioned that some students, most of them were not able to communicate orally in English. But after 3-4 months, they were able at least to engage communication, to take part in some discussion. That's also one way it is usually the practical way to evaluate their achievements. Coming back to the academic point, we have the note grade that we can assess according to the results. And this is one of way when we compare how powerful, let's say, how they work so far before joining the club, and after joining the club, what are their grades? So this is how we assess the achievements.
Right, maybe the attendee is satisfied with the answer. We have another question asking how we can motivate students in the extracurricular activities.
Yeah, thank you so much. Motivating students for extracurricular activities, first, it is very important to connect the activities that we do in our English class with what is taught in the class. If the students see the connection, the interrelationship between those both activities, they will be first motivated. We also need to take the case of those who participate in the club activities with outcome like seeing them communicating, seeing them practicing and using the language. And teachers also need to define some strategies. When you come to your class and you want to motivate the students, you also need to be flexible, because if you are not flexible, students know what you want to tell them or what you want to share with them.
Thank you, Cosme. We have one more question here.
Yes.
It's asking about how we can do to encourage learners in the rural area to be part of English club, given the fact that they are not willing, and think that this is important for oral communication.
Good. What we can do, for example, in rural area, we need to set some activities. For example, select some activities that are not related to the language. It can be movies session, music session, and some extracurricular activity, not only the language related one, in order to show them that something is being doing here and how much it can contribute to the improvement. And also, we need to consider the reality and the context of each rural area, because there might be some historical information that we need to consider while designing those activities. Otherwise, my plan and it won't work.
Great, we are almost running out of time, but we have one last question.
Yes.
That asking if you can cite examples of English club activities that could connect classroom learning. You mean STEAM clubs, athletic clubs, etc.
Yeah, thank you so much. Some example of English club activities that can be connected to regular class is in activities like providing students through role-play activities to practice the language. You design some short conversation where students take part in it by without keeping the paper, without reading. They practice it. This also can help a student while they will be in class to see how small it is. And the next thing is there are some activities that are designed and put in our curriculum or in the study program but we are not able, even in our textbook, but we are not able to cover all due to the limited or time limitation. So teachers can extract some activities, especially role play activities, speaking activities, and implement it here. Give the opportunity to the student to practice and use the language. And while doing so, they will see that, oh, this is related to my regular class. Why not taking part in it? It will be very important, and they will see the value of it. So that's all. Hello?
Can I ask my question?
Yes, please, you can.
Yes, I want to know whether English club activities are optional or mandatory for the learners.
Okay. Till now, in our country, English club activities are not mandatory for them. It is optional, and only those who want to take part in it do it. And we don't have English club in all over the country. There are some schools who do not have English clubs. And this is an opportunity to thank BINTI, Benin National Teachers of English Association, who is trying to help schools in order to have their own English clubs. In order, this also can help and support the students to get the same opportunities as the other one where we have nowadays English clubs. So it's very important to do it. We cannot ask teachers or school authorities to make it mandatory, but we can find ways and the strategies to come up with some decision or provision that make officially recognized in our schools and in our educational system.
Thank you very much, sir.
Can I ask a question, please? Is it possible that I ask a question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate what you've been saying. In fact, I've also got a club of English. But the problem is, I'm just wondering, what about the size of the group? I mean,
you are muted. You are muted.
I was talking of what you're saying. Having a club is very useful, but I'm wondering about the size. You know, for example, in my country, if we can really implement the idea of dealing with extracurricular activities, it means that you may take your students out from class, but it depends on the size of the class. Suppose that you've got something like 100 students. Are you sure that you can cope with dealing with things like clubs if you're a single teacher?
Okay, okay. That's why many teachers need to be involved. And the next point is students that who are interested in extracurricular activities, especially English clubs. We need to organize age group. Let's say, for example, junior, senior, and so on. That's how it works. You can also say beginners, you know, post-beginners, advanced, and so on. So this is one of the way you can, for example, categorize and the student. If there are many, then you can organize a different meeting for them. Maybe beginners can meet on Monday, post-beginner can meet on Wednesday, and others can meet on Thursday. So it depends on how you do it. It is also a kind of passion and internal motivation for teachers, because if you are also busy and you don't take it as a passion, you can't do it. You will see that making 3 different meetings in a week is very is too much and is also demanding. But when you are really motivated and you are passionate, you can do it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I will try. Thank you so much.
Interrupting you, but we are 7 minutes late and we have to end this session.
Sure.
Great presentation so far. Thank you a lot for sharing your insight with us. We are really grateful.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank to you all dear attendees for your participation to the session.
Thank you, everyone. And we have a few minutes to take a quick break before the next session, which is session 15. That will actually be our final presentation before the closing keynote. So we are getting towards the end of our day. Thank you to everyone who has been here, especially from the beginning. And take a quick break and we will be back in just a few minutes. Thank you again to Cosme and to Hadiza, our moderator.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
You've done a good job. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations to the presenter.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you so much.
It was really great. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.
It's break.